Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel where we inspire you to be your absolute best self. Today we're diving kind that moves mountains or lifts weights. No, this is deeper. I'm talking about mental and emotional strength. The kind that helps you rise above challenges, dive into. Ladies and gentlemen, waiting can feel like the hardest season of life. It tests your patience, stretches your faith, and questions your resolve. Our bodies weaken on stretch days. It tests your training, brings up your own fear, the kind that helps your wait and stretch even more. You find yourself asking, God, have you forgotten me? But I came here today with a word of assurance. God's delays are never His denials. His timing is perfect, and your restoration is nearer than you think. The darkest hour is often just before the dawn. When you feel as though every ounce of strength is being drained, when the weight of your trials feels unbearable, it's easy to believe you're at your breaking point. But let me remind you, this is not the end. What feels like the final stretch of your endurance is actually the moment of greatest significance. Think of a seed planted deep in the soil. It must push through darkness, through layers of dirt and resistance before it breaks through to the surface. Your journey is no different. The pressure you feel, the relentless battles you face, are not there to destroy you, but to shape you for what's ahead. It is during these moments that God is at work in ways you cannot yet see. The delay you're experiencing is not because He has forgotten you or because the promise has failed. It's because He is perfecting something within you. Your character is being refined, your faith strengthened, and your resilience fortified. Every test you face is a tool in His hands, molding you for the fulfillment of His purpose. Many people give up just before their breakthrough. They let the weight of the trial convince them that restoration is out of reach. But what if your greatest victory is on the other side of this struggle? What if the very thing you've prayed for is just waiting for you to endure a little longer? Don't let temporary pain cause you to forfeit permanent promise. Your waiting is not wasted. God is not testing your ability to hold on. He is revealing His power to sustain you. If you can endure this season, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and fully prepared to walk into the restoration God has prepared for you. Stay the course. When everything around you seems to be falling apart and the storms of life rage on, there is a peace that surpasses all understanding, a peace that only God can provide. This peace is not tied to the circumstances you see or the chaos you face. It is rooted in His presence, His promises, and His unchanging nature. This peace isn't just a feeling. It's a spiritual assurance that God is in control, even when everything around you suggests otherwise. It is a signal that your breakthrough is closer than you think, because peace in the middle of chaos is not natural, it is divine. When you are walking through difficult seasons, the enemy's goal is to disrupt your spirit and rob you of your hope. Fear and anxiety are his tools to keep you distracted and discouraged. Yet, when God's peace rests on you, it's like standing in the eye of a hurricane. The winds may howl, the waves may crash, but you remain unmoved because you know who holds your future. This peace is not passive, it's powerful. It silences the voices of doubt and strengthens your faith to keep moving forward. God's peace is a reminder that He has not left you, no matter how long the waiting has been. It's a reassurance that His timing is perfect and His plans are unfolding even now. You may not see the full picture, but the calm in your spirit is evidence that His hand is at work. The storms of life are temporary, but His peace is eternal. Hold on to it, cling to it, and trust that this peace is the forerunner of the restoration and breakthrough you've been praying for. When God's peace fills your heart, you can be certain the storm is almost over. Sometimes, when you least expect it, opportunities begin to appear, doors open that you could never have unlocked on your own. These moments are not coincidences, they are divine orchestrations, carefully designed by God to propel you into your breakthrough. What makes these opportunities so significant is that they often come at a time when you feel least prepared or least deserving. That is how God works. He operates outside of human logic to show His power and His ability to make the impossible possible. These doors don't require you to strive or manipulate your way in. They open effortlessly because they are aligned with God's will for your life. The job you didn't apply for suddenly calls you. The connection you weren't looking for reaches out. A solution to a problem appears when you have exhausted all your options. These moments of divine favor remind you that God's plan is greater than your efforts and that He is the one writing your story. However, these opportunities may not always look the way you expect them to. Sometimes they come disguised as challenges, requiring faith to step into the unknown. They may demand courage and obedience, but they are signs that God is moving on your behalf. Pay attention to these moments, even if they seem small or insignificant, because they are often the prelude to something much greater. When opportunities begin to emerge, it is a reminder that God's timing is perfect. He has been preparing these moments for you long before you ever realize them. All He requires is your trust and your willingness to step forward in faith. These open doors are not just about what's ahead, they are confirmation that your breakthrough is closer than you ever imagined. When God is about to elevate you, one of the first things He does is bring separation. This separation can feel painful, confusing, and even unfair at times, but it is always purposeful. Certain relationships, habits, and environments that may have been part of your journey up to this point are not meant to accompany you into the next chapter. What once seemed essential might suddenly feel like a hindrance, and doors that once felt secure might unexpectedly close. This is not rejection, it is redirection. God is clearing your path to ensure that nothing interferes with the work He is about to do in your life. There are times when we cling to relationships or connections simply because they feel familiar. Yet familiarity can often become a comfort zone that stunts growth. God, in His wisdom, knows the difference between what is good for you now and what will be good for you in the long term. When people begin to drift away or situations start to shift, it's a sign that God is removing distractions and pruning your life so that you can bear greater fruit. The pruning process is never easy, but it is essential for growth. It's important to trust God's judgment in these moments. He sees what you cannot see and knows what lies ahead. The relationships or opportunities that fall away may seem valuable now, but they cannot support the weight of the purpose He is preparing you for. Letting go is not about loss, it's about making room. As hard as it may be, trust that this separation is a sign of God's intentional preparation for your breakthrough. He is aligning you with the right people, the right circumstances, and the right mindset to receive the restoration and elevation He has planned for you. In the stillness of waiting, something profound begins to happen. As you pause and listen, you may notice a renewed clarity forming in your spirit. This clarity isn't something you create on your own, it is God's voice, gently breaking through the noise of doubt and distraction. In moments of uncertainty, when you feel the most lost, God often uses the quiet to speak direction and purpose into your life. This clarity is not accidental, it's intentional. It is a sign that He is aligning your heart with His plan and preparing you for the next step in your journey. Often in the busyness of life, it's easy to miss what God is trying to reveal. But in the waiting season, distractions fade and you begin to hear Him more clearly. Ideas start to form, vision returns, and purpose becomes sharper. What once seemed confusing or distant now feels within reach. This clarity is not just a coincidence. It's an indication that your breakthrough is drawing near. God is giving you a glimpse of the restoration that is coming, equipping you with the wisdom and direction you'll need to walk into it confidently. This process requires you to lean in and trust Him fully. When you sense this renewed focus in your spirit, it's not the time to doubt or second guess. It's the time to act on what He is revealing. God is preparing your heart for the doors He's about to open and the opportunities He's placing before you. Clarity in your spirit is a sign that God is not only moving on your behalf, but also drawing you closer to Him. It's His way of reminding you that He hasn't forgotten you. and what He has prepared for you is greater than anything you could have imagined. Stay attentive and obedient, for your restoration is closer than ever. When you experience a sudden increase in opposition, it can feel disheartening and overwhelming. Challenges seem to multiply, setbacks arise unexpectedly, and resistance intensifies. You might find yourself questioning, why now? Why does everything seem to be falling apart? But let me assure you, this is not a coincidence. The increase in opposition is often a clear indicator that your breakthrough is near. It's a spiritual principle. The enemy fights hardest when he knows something extraordinary is about to happen in your life. This resistance is not meant to destroy you, but to strengthen your faith. The enemy doesn't waste his energy on those who are going nowhere. The fact that you are facing heightened challenges means you are on the verge of stepping into something significant. Just as a soldier doesn't encounter the fiercest battles in the training ground, but on the front lines, your current struggles signify that you are advancing toward God's promises. In these moments, it's crucial to remember that God has already equipped you with everything you need to endure and overcome. The opposition you face is not greater than the power of God within you. In fact, it's in these times of resistance that God often reveals His strength most clearly. He uses opposition to refine your character, deepen your trust in Him, and prepare you for the weight of the blessing that is coming. Instead of allowing opposition to discourage you, let it confirm that you're on the right path. Press forward with determination, knowing that what you're enduring now is temporary, but the victory on the other side is eternal. The intensity of the battle is a sign of the significance of the breakthrough. Stay steadfast, for the very thing you've been praying for is just beyond the resistance you're facing. There comes a moment when something stirs deep within your spirit, an undeniable urge to move forward in faith. This feeling is not born out of logic or visible evidence. It's a divine prompting from God, urging you to step out even when the circumstances around you remain unchanged. It's the quiet but powerful voice in your heart saying, "Now is the time." This inner urge is a sign that God is positioning you for your breakthrough, and it requires your obedience to activate the next phase of His plan for your life. Faith often defies human reasoning. You may feel an overwhelming sense to act, even when the path ahead seems unclear or risky. That is because God's instructions don't always come with a full explanation. He calls you to trust Him completely, to step out in obedience even when you can't see the entire picture. This is the moment when your faith intersects with His power, creating the conditions for restoration and breakthrough. The urge to move in faith may come with challenges, but it is also accompanied by a sense of peace and assurance. When God calls you to act, He equips you with the strength and courage to follow through. Don't hesitate. Delayed obedience can often lead to missed opportunities. God honors bold faith and rewards those who trust Him enough to move when He says move. Your restoration is not something you passively wait for. It's something you partner with God to achieve. Act on His prompting and watch as the impossible becomes possible. When you find yourself holding on, even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart, remember that your endurance has not gone unnoticed by God. Every trial, every moment of hardship is seen by Him, and He is using it to prepare you for something greater. The times when you feel like your faith is all you have left are often the moments when God is most actively working behind the scenes. Your endurance in the face of challenges is not in vain. It is not just about surviving the difficulty. It is about strengthening your character, building your spiritual muscles, and positioning you for the restoration that is coming. God's timing is always perfect. While it may seem like He's delayed, what you are enduring now is not punishment but preparation. It's easy to assume that God has forgotten or is not answering your prayers, but the truth is, He is aligning things and we need to wait because the blessing He's preparing for us requires a level of readiness that only the testing process can bring. Your current season of endurance is laying the foundation for a breakthrough that is far beyond what you could have imagined. It is a powerful force that attracts God's favor. Keep holding on, because every step of endurance you take is one step closer to the breakthrough you've been praying for. God is working in ways you cannot see, but rest assured, He is faithful to complete the work He has begun in you. When everything around you seems uncertain and the only thing you can rely on is your faith, you are standing at a pivotal moment. In these seasons, it often feels like you're walking through the dark with no clear signs of what's ahead. But this is when God is often closest to you, guiding you in ways you may not yet understand. Faith in these moments is not just about believing when everything is going well. It's about trusting God when nothing makes sense. It's about stepping forward without seeing the entire path, knowing that He who called you is faithful to lead you through. Faith, in its purest form, is trust in God's character and His promises, even when circumstances tell you otherwise. When you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, when the road seems long and winding, faith is what keeps you moving. It may feel like your faith is all that's holding you together, but that's exactly where God wants you. Because it's in that place of utter dependence on Him that His power becomes most evident. The fact that you're still holding on, even when it feels like you have nothing else to hold on to, is a sign that your breakthrough is near. This is when God moves most powerfully. Not when everything is easy, but when you press on in the face of difficulty. Your perseverance is a testament to the strength that God has placed within you. In those moments when faith is your only option, remember that it's also your greatest weapon. The breakthrough you've been waiting for is often just on the other side of your faith. And as you continue to trust, you'll see the fullness of God's promises unfold in your life. It's often said that the greatest opposition comes right before the greatest breakthrough. When you feel like the weight of the world is pressing down on you, when the struggle seems more intense than ever before, take heart. This is not a sign of defeat. It is a signal that your victory is closer than you think. The enemy will always increase his attacks when he sees that you're on the verge of stepping into a new level of God's purpose and blessing. This is not the time to shrink back or grow weary. It is the time to rise up in faith and take hold of the promise that is about to be delivered. Opposition doesn't always mean you're on the wrong path. In fact, it often confirms that you're on the right one. The intensity of the battle you're facing is directly related to the significance of the breakthrough waiting for you. Just as a runner feels the greatest strain in the final stretch of a race, your efforts are most intensely challenged when you're closest to crossing the finish line. The enemy's strategy is to discourage and distract you from what's ahead, but God's strategy is to strengthen and refine you through the resistance, knowing that your breakthrough is sure. In moments of fierce opposition, remember that God uses these struggles to reveal His power in ways you may not have experienced before. These are the moments when your faith grows, your character is refined, and your trust in God deepens. God is preparing you for something greater than you ever imagined, and He uses these challenges to reveal the depth of His power working on your behalf. Don't be discouraged by the battle. Celebrate it as a sign that your victory is drawing near. Hold fast, for the breakthrough you've been praying for is just beyond the opposition. As we close, I want to remind you that the waiting season, the trials, the challenges, they are not signs that God has forgotten you. They are part of the divine preparation that is leading you to your breakthrough. The delays you've experienced are not denials, but rather God's perfect timing at work in your life. Every moment of endurance, every step of faith, and every increase in opposition is a sign that your restoration is closer than you realize. God is aligning the right opportunities, removing distractions, and preparing you for the next level. As you endure, remain faithful, and trust in His perfect plan, know that He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything for your good. The clarity, the peace, the promptings of faith, they are all confirmations that the breakthrough is within reach. So don't give up. Don't let doubt rob you of what God has in store for you. Keep your eyes on the promise, knowing that what you've been waiting for is on the other side of your obedience, your perseverance, and your trust in Him. Your breakthrough is coming, and when it does, it will exceed anything you could have imagined. Stay strong, stay faithful, and be ready to receive all that God has prepared for you. Ladies and gentlemen, the waiting season is not your final destination. It's the birthing place of the promise. Stay ready, stay expectant, and watch how God's restoration will exceed your greatest imagination. Thank you so much for watching. If this video inspired you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who could use a little motivation today. And hey, make sure you subscribe for more uplifting content. We're here to keep you strong. Stay strong, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next video.